Hello, radiant soul of the Leo zodiac. This is not just another horoscope video. This is a sacred moment crafted in divine timing to meet you right here, right now. And if you're watching this, it's not by accident. God says, you are ready. Yes, you. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. In these first few seconds, I want to ask you something that might stir your soul. Have you felt like something immense is moving just beneath the surface of your life, like a tidal wave of change coming your way, but you can't quite name it yet? You're not imagining it. That subtle shift you've been sensing? That flutter in your chest, that pause before making a decision, that repeated dream or sign you keep brushing off? They're all whispers from the universe trying to get your attention. Because today, something miraculous is unfolding. Not just around you but through you. And Leo, let's be honest, you didn't land on this video by scrolling aimlessly. You were called here. Not by luck. Not by coincidence. But by vibration. Your energy reached out into the field of infinite possibility, and this message reached back. You've likely walked through fire lately, haven't you? Quietly proving your strength. Waiting, watching, wondering when it will be your turn to rise. This is your sign. This is your turning point. Right now, I invite you to pause and breathe with me. Feel this moment. Because in this pause, something ancient and powerful awakens inside you, your knowing. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are rising. So I ask you, truly, what is it within you that brought you here today? Was it the ache of love unspoken? The pressure of a decision weighing on your chest? Or perhaps, a longing to finally step into the life you've always known was meant for you? Whatever it is, you've been heard. Please, take a moment to comment below, I'm ready. Let the universe witness your courage. Let your soul speak up and say, I no longer wait for permission to shine, I am the light. And before we continue, let me offer my heartfelt gratitude for your presence here. Every like, every comment, every moment you share with this growing family at Eternal Mindfulness becomes a beam of energy that expands our collective light. Your support is the reason this channel exists, and it allows us to bring these soul-deep messages to life. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And Leo, trust me, you're going to want to stay with me until the very end of today's message. Because what the universe is about to reveal is not just powerful. It's life-altering. Like a lotus blooming from the mud, your moment is coming, not in the chaos, but in the clarity. Let's walk into it together. So shall we begin? On this day, June 2nd, a rare alignment of cosmic forces gently stirs the emotional tide within you, dear Leo. As the full moon radiates through a fire sign, your element, it activates not just your outer presence but your inner knowing. And unlike other full moons that ask us to release, this one asks you to reveal. To bring into light those parts of yourself you've hidden, protected, or postponed. There's a certain clarity now, a sharp illumination showing you exactly where you've been playing small, not out of weakness, but out of habit. The energy of fire, especially under a full moon, doesn't just burn, it purifies. It sears through illusion. And today, it's burning through old beliefs, the ones that told you your light was too much, that your passion needed to be quieted, that your timing had to match someone else's permission. These stories are ready to fall away not in conflict, but in stillness. Like mist evaporating under morning sun, the truth is quietly rising from within. The tarot archetype of judgment mirrors this moment with incredible accuracy. It speaks of a deep inner calling, not a voice outside of you, but one that has always been within. It's that faint whisper you've heard when the world quiets. The knowing that there's more to your life than merely enduring. Judgment is not about punishment, it is about awakening. The kind of awakening that is not dramatic or loud, but quietly undeniable. It's the awareness that the future you've longed for isn't something you chase, it's something you align with. If you've been sensing the heaviness of emotional buildup lately, it's not your imagination. The full moon has a way of pulling old feelings to the surface, not to overwhelm you, but to free you. Often, we suppress not because we are ashamed, but because we are protecting the world from the full magnitude of our depth. But how long can you dim your truth before it starts to dim you? Numerologically, the number 2 governs this day. And number 2 is not just about duality, it is about decision. You are now at a sacred threshold, standing between the safety of the known and the power of the unknown. You are not being asked to choose with fear, you are being invited to choose with faith. Faith in your readiness. Faith in your capacity to shine without apology. This number reminds us that every new chapter requires a conscious agreement. Not just to move forward, but to leave something behind. Here's a question to gently sit with today. What truth inside you has been knocking for your attention, yet you've pretended not to hear it? And deeper still, what would happen if, for just one day, you believed you were already enough without adjusting, hiding, or explaining? In certain ancient teachings, the mind is described as a stream, always flowing. But when the stream becomes too crowded with branches, old narratives, unmet expectations, internal noise, its clarity becomes muddled. When you remove those branches, not forcefully, but mindfully, the water becomes clear again. That is what today invites you to do. Clear the current of your inner life so that your direction, your purpose, your joy can begin to flow freely again. This is not the time to push. It is the time to listen. Listen inward. Let the silence speak. Let your own stillness reflect back to you everything you've been seeking from the outside. The version of you you're becoming is not a stranger, it's the most authentic part of you finally being allowed to lead. You are not being called to become someone else. You're being called to remember who you've always been. And if you truly believe that your light was never meant to stay hidden, then now is the moment to stop waiting. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to be chosen. The universe has already chosen you. Today, your only task is to choose yourself back. There are moments in life when love does not arrive like a grand announcement, but rather, as a quiet stirring, soft, persistent, and impossible to ignore. If you've been sensing subtle shifts in your energy recently, a dream that stays with you all day, an unexpected memory of someone you thought you had let go, a glance that lingers a moment too long, then it's not your imagination. It's resonance. The magnetic field of your heart has begun to pulse in alignment with something, or someone, that is making its way toward you. Love, when it's real, does not chase or demand. It draws near like water, seeks its level with patience, with ease, and with purpose. The presence of the Knight of Cups in your energy today is no accident. This archetype doesn't storm in with declarations. He rides in with sincerity. He listens more than he speaks, but his presence is undeniable. He represents someone perhaps already in your life, or perhaps just on the edges of your awareness, who carries with them a quiet, authentic affection. You may not have noticed them fully yet, or maybe your soul recognized theirs before your mind had the words. What's important now is not to analyze, but to feel. To allow the possibility that love is already in motion, and it is moving toward you, not away. In astrological timing, the moon's full illumination combined with fire energy creates a perfect opening for emotional breakthroughs, especially those that revolve around the heart. The light that touches your outer world today is the same light that reaches deep into the caverns of your emotional self. Old blockages can soften now. Old stories about being too much or not enough in love begin to dissolve in this heat. And in that melting, there is room for something honest, beautiful, and new. From a deeper perspective, one that echoes through spiritual philosophies, true connection begins when we stop clinging. When we no longer grasp for love as a need to be filled, but stand in love as a natural state of being. You've likely heard it before, but it's worth hearing again with your whole heart. You do not find love, you allow it. The moment you stop hiding your light, the moment you start speaking kindly to yourself, the moment you become available to joy without needing it to look a certain way, that's when love sees the path to your door. Not because you begged for it, but because you made space for it. When a flower blooms, it does not chase the bees. It simply opens. And the nectar draws what's meant for it. Likewise, when you stop chasing closure or validation from the past and simply choose to open, what is meant for you cannot miss you. There is no force more powerful than readiness born from healing. Today, consider, have you been feeling a pull towards someone and dismissing it as fantasy? Have you ignored the small signs because you've been hurt before? Or perhaps you've convinced yourself that love must always come through chaos to be real. But what if this time, love arrives differently? What if it is gentle, grounded, clear-eyed, and steady? Can you recognize that? Take a moment to reflect on how you've changed. Because that version of you, the one who once accepted breadcrumbs or begged for Claridius, no longer here. You're wiser now. You trust your timing more. And the frequency you're sending out is drawing someone in, not to complete you, but to walk beside you in this next chapter. If this resonates with you, if you feel even a flicker of truth in these words, comment a yellow heart below. Not just as a symbol of romantic love, but as a way of saying to the universe, I am open. I am willing. I am no longer afraid of being seen. Let love find you in your honesty. That is where the magic begins. Just as the tides shift with the pull of the moon, so too do the unseen rhythms of prosperity move in cycles, quiet, often unpredictable, but always meaningful. Over the next 3 days, you may notice a subtle yet undeniable shift in your relationship with money, not necessarily in your bank account first, but in your mindset. There's a turn in the wheel, and this one is moving in your favor. The appearance of the Wheel of Fortune, followed by the radiance of the sun, signals that something you've planted in the pot, an idea, a gesture, a skill, or an act of consistency, is about to bloom into a tangible reward. It may come in the form of an unexpected opportunity, a payment you'd nearly given up on, or even a conversation that opens doors you didn't know existed. But no matter the form, the message is clear. Your energy is now aligned with financial clarity and upward movement. The thing about money, something not often spoken of with kindness, is that it's not just a resource. It's an energy. It reflects how we value ourselves, how we give, and how we receive. Many of us fall into unconscious patterns where we chase abundance, but repel it in practice by underpricing our worth, by spending to soothe, or by saving out of fear rather than trust. But when the sun shines on your financial sphere, it's a gentle reminder that wealth is not something to be chased or hoarded, it is something to be channeled. It flows most freely to those who are ready not just to receive it, but to use it with purpose. This is a good time to pause and reflect on how you've been handling the currency of your life. Have you been investing your money or your time and energy into things that nourish your growth? Or have you been spending from a place of emotional hunger, trying to fill a void that money was never meant to satisfy? These aren't judgmental questions, they are invitations to clarity. Because awareness, not shame, is what transforms habits. You may want to ground this shift into practice. Take out a piece of paper today, and gently write down 3 financial goals you want to focus on this month, not vague wishes, but real, achievable intentions. Whether it's saving a specific amount, tracking your daily spending, or creating a new stream of income, write each one down with the confidence of someone who knows that the universe supports clear intention. And next to each goal, write one simple action you can take this week to begin aligning with it. Golden yellow is your energetic activator now. This is not just a color, it's a frequency. It awakens clarity, sharpens your vision, and reminds you of your power to manifest. Consider wearing this shade when making financial decisions or when speaking about your future. It carries the vibration of optimism and confidence, 2 qualities essential for receiving and holding prosperity. In teachings that speak of mindful action, there is a saying, "You do not reap because you desire, you reap because you prepare." The winds of fortune may be blowing in your direction, but what matters most is whether your sails are open. Be willing to meet this change with responsibility. Not from a place of pressure, but from self-respect. The kind of respect that says, "I know I can handle more, because I've learned how to manage what I already have." If you've been caught in a loop of earning and spending without intention, this is your moment to step off the wheel. Not to stop the movement, but to guide it with clarity. Let money become not a source of stress, but a companion in your greater journey. Use it not to define your worth, but to express your values. In doing so, you may discover that financial abundance was never just about having more, it was about remembering that you were always enough to begin with. There are certain moments in life where the horizon begins to shift, not in loud, obvious ways, but subtly, like the air before a storm or the pause before a breakthrough. You may be feeling that now in your professional world. A sense that what once felt comfortable or even purposeful no longer fits as it used to. You might be restless without knowing why, or suddenly drawn to ideas, passions, or directions you never considered before. This is not a sign that you're lost, it's a sign that you've outgrown something. And the universe, in its quiet wisdom, is asking you to notice. The World card in the tarot marks the completion of a cycle, not just the end of a job or project, but a full circle moment where something you once set out to achieve has now reached its natural conclusion. The energy of the world is not just about success. It's about integration. It asks, what have you learned? What have you become? And how will you carry those lessons into the next chapter? Astrologically, The current influence of Mercury, planet of communication and cognition, and Uranus, planet of disruption and innovation, suggests that the thoughts crossing your mind now are not just random. They are messages. Inner stirrings to break out of the expected, the safe, the scripted. This alignment is especially powerful for those who have been holding back out of loyalty to an outdated version of themselves. You might feel pulled in two directions, one that says, stay where it's familiar, and one that whispers, there's more. When Mercury and Uranus dance, insights strike like lightning. You might have an idea that feels too big to be real or too bold to be safe. But that is exactly the point. Progress rarely announces itself gently. It tests you with curiosity and courage. So the question becomes, if you weren't afraid of failing, what would you pursue right now? What would you build, say, change, or create? From a mindful perspective, when something within you starts to resist the old way, it's often a signal that your soul is ready for deeper alignment. The discomfort is not punishment, it is preparation. Just like a plant that outgrows its pot, you are meant to stretch into something wider, more spacious, more true to your evolving self. But to do that, you need to know who you've become. That's why this is the perfect time to journal. Not just about goals, but about your values. What do you stand for now? What do you refuse to compromise on? What kind of work not only supports your life but reflects your heart? We often think of career decisions as linear, but life teaches us that direction is more like a spiral. We revisit old themes at higher levels of awareness. Sometimes, what we thought was failure was simply the wrong season. And sometimes, the clarity we need isn't in a plan, it's in the decision to begin again, with fuller honesty. So if the path ahead looks unfamiliar, that's not a reason to fear, it's a reason to trust. When you walk with intention, even uncertain steps carry power. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take one honest action. Update your resume. Send the message. Sign up for the class. Speak your truth. Do one thing that says to life, I'm ready for more. Remember, your work is not just what you do for money, it's an extension of your energy in the world. And when your actions align with your truth, the outer world will shift to meet you. The question is not, can I do it? The deeper question is, am I willing to become the version of me who already has? As the currents of change move through your external world, career shifts, emotional openings, even moments of financial clarity, your body remains the vessel that holds it all. And while the mind often races ahead, planning, thinking, anticipating, the body lingers quietly behind, absorbing every moment, every pressure, every emotion. You may not realize it at first, but when your energy begins to feel off, when your sleep is light or your digestion unsettled, when tension gathers in your neck or heart feels heavy for no clear reason, these are not isolated discomforts. These are messages. The areas most sensitive now, your throat, your chest, and your gut, are not random. Each represents a deeper layer of self-expression, emotional truth, and intuitive processing. The throat holds the words you've withheld. The heart holds what you've carried for others. The gut, that quiet intelligence often ignored, holds every yes you've said when you meant no. So if any of these areas have felt tight, tender, or reactive, it's time to stop pushing forward and begin listening inward. The Five of Swords appears here not as a sign of external defeat, but as a mirror reflecting internal tension. It points to situations or relationships where you may have been overextending yourself, offering too much, staying too long, or absorbing dynamics that drain more than they give. Sometimes, the most toxic experiences aren't the ones that explode, but the ones that silently chip away at your peace. The cost isn't always obvious. It shows up subtly: fatigue you can't explain, irritability that seems out of place, a general sense of disconnection from your own joy. And this is where gentle self-care becomes not indulgence, but necessity. Not the kind of care that involves escapism or avoidance, but the kind rooted in presence. Begin with 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes of deep breathing in the morning, not to fix anything, but to greet your own being before the world rushes in. Place your hands gently on your chest or belly and let your breath meet you there. This simple act, done with attention, sends a quiet signal to your nervous system: I'm safe here. I'm listening. Add to that a glass of warm lemon water, an offering of clarity to your body before you ask anything more of it. And as much as you can, resist the urge to reach for your phone first thing or scroll before sleep. The early morning and late evening hours are sacred transitions for your energy, and what you absorb during those times imprints deeply. Replace the noise with stillness, and you will begin to feel yourself again. The color green, particularly light, fresh green, holds special resonance now. It's the shade of renewal, of inner springtime. Surround yourself with it where possible. Wear it. Sit near it in nature. Let it gently remind your system that restoration is always available, and that healing doesn't have to be dramatic to be real. In many wisdom traditions, the body is described as a garden. Whatever you plant within it through thought, action, or environment will inevitably bloom. So ask yourself gently, what seeds am I sowing with the choices I make each day? Are you choosing alignment or compromise? Are you tending to your own needs, or waiting for someone else to prioritize them for you? And perhaps the most important question of all, are you willing to choose yourself today, not in theory, but in action? Not later, when things calm down, but now, even as life continues to move. Because your body has always been with you, faithfully carrying every version of who you've been. And now, it's asking for you to come home, to soften, to slow, to care deeply, not just about what you do, but about how you feel while doing it. When you choose yourself in the quiet, the rest of the world begins to respond in kind. If you've made it this far, Leo, I believe something within you has already begun to shift. Not in the loud, dramatic way the world often expects from you, but in the quieter, deeper layers, the ones that whisper rather than shout. The universe isn't waiting for you to become someone else. It's simply asking, are you ready to become more of who you truly are? You've seen the signs. You've felt the nudges. The stirring in your chest when a truth was spoken, the stillness when something old no longer fit, the undeniable pull toward a path that both excites and scares you. These aren't random. They're guideposts. And today, the message is clear: you are ready. Not perfect. Not finished. Just ready. Because here's the truth, you never needed permission to shine. You were never meant to wait for someone else to validate your voice, your dream, your timing. The light inside you has been burning long before anyone else could see it. And now, it's asking to be seen. Fully. Boldly. Freely. So what if today, this very moment, you chose to stop rehearsing your life and start living it? What if you stopped negotiating with fear, and instead began aligning with purpose? What if you took one step, no matter how small, toward the version of yourself who already believes in everything you're capable of? You don't have to leap. You just have to move. In thought. In intention. In energy. Because once you do, the path ahead will rise to meet you. The right people will notice. The right opportunities will flow. And the parts of your past that held you back will begin to lose their hold. I want to gently ask you, what would your life look like if you stopped making decisions from fear and started choosing from love? Love for your future, love for your voice, love for your truth. Would you stay where you are, or would you walk forward, even if the road isn't fully lit yet? If something in this message resonated with you, if even a part of you felt seen, understood, or called, then let the universe know. Drop a comment below with the words, "I choose to move forward." Not because you've figured it all out, but because you're ready to begin. And if this video stirred something within you, I hope you'll take a moment to like it, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to this space, Eternal Mindfulness, where each message is crafted with care to bring light, clarity, and hope into your world. Your presence here matters more than you know. Every click, every word, every heartbeat of support keeps this sacred circle of growth alive. Thank you from the depth of my being for sharing this moment with me. For being present, open, and brave enough to look inward. You are not alone on this journey. And while I may not know every detail of your path, I trust the energy that brought you here knows exactly what it's doing. Remember, June 2nd is not just another date on the calendar. It could be the soft beginning of something extraordinary. The first breath of a new direction. The subtle opening of a door you didn't even know you had the key to. So tell me, Leo, are you ready to walk through?